Traditionally, putting together a stealth build in Payday 2 isn't particularly nuanced. There are more skill points than there are dedicated stealth skills, which means you shouldn't have too much of an issue grabbing everything that sounds decent. But as with anything in Payday 2, there's always more than meets the eye, as there are dozens of skills designed predominantly for loud that end up really changing the game in stealth. My friend Red Archer Live covered his favourite build back in 2021, but I'm here to update it for Payday 2's final year of development, 2023. In the post-Copycat landscape, things have gotten a little more complicated, so let's take a look at some of the most optimised stealth builds you can possibly put together. Firstly, I want to make it clear that there is no single correct stealth build. Although it's a lot more black and white than with loud builds, there's still room for individual creativity, and most pivotally, there are distinct stealth playstyles that you should be considering when putting together any setup. In essence, you have your low-risk, highly consistent setup that's designed to complete any heist and handle any situation that's thrown at you with guile and a touch of murder, and then you have your no-holds-barred, speed stealth approach that's sole goal is to get you in and out as quickly as humanly possible, using pure speed to abuse Payday's alert system and massively reducing heist completion times. I'm going to show you one build for each playstyle, highlighting the pros and cons of both, because if you want to be a top-tier Payday 2 stealth player, rather than the likes of Mark MB or Molotov, you're going to want to have a solid grasp on both styles, and a complete understanding of all the tools at your disposal. So, let's get into build number 1, the ever-consistent Pocket ECM setup. This is absolutely the workhorse of Payday 2 stealth. If there's a heist I haven't played for a while, or a brand new release, I will almost always default to the tried and true low-risk hacker build. It's capable of handling anything that's thrown at you, won't encourage rushing, and has a mechanic that can explicitly rescue any mistakes you might make. With the launch of Copycat back in December, it also got stronger, as you receive all the benefits you would with the original deck, that being access to 2 Pocket ECM jammers, alongside faster weapon swap speed and 40% increased crouch and carry speed. There's basically no reason not to go with this perk deck combo if hacker is the style you like the best. Moving on to skills, I like to go up through Forced Friendship, Confident, and Stockholm Syndrome to help with more control-orientated heists, although those last two are absolutely optional or luxury skills, and then I use 1 spare point on Stable Shot for what little it's worth. Into Enforcer, we grab Resilience and Transporter. Not any Saw skills on this one, as I tend to avoid riskier tech like Silent Saw when playing with my hacker setup. In Technician, we go up through Third Law, Eco Sentry, and of course Jack of all trades aced. And then in Breacher, we have enough spare points to ace out Hardware Expert, Drill Sergeant, and Kickstarter, just in case you really hate drills, before acing more Firepower, as Detection Trip Mines are criminally underrated for stealth, especially when you're trying to play safe, and even more specifically on densely populated heists with particularly tricky guard pathing. Finally here, I use a second spare point on Steady Grip. In Ghost, we ace out the entirety of the Shinobi tree because, why wouldn't we? Duck and cover, parkour, and inner pockets are all also key skills for this build, as is high value target, an often slept on stealth skill that you should be incorporating. We get there by basicking Second Wind, the Professional for extra handling, and then acing Optical Illusions and high value target itself to allow for weapon aim marking that lasts twice as long as it usually would. That's it for this skill setup, as Fugitive is an empty tree. But I have another surprise for you in the form of quite a unique stealthing primary, the Grom Sniper Rifle. This thing easily hits enough concealment at 26 for this build, whilst also offering sufficient accuracy, and most importantly, bullet penetration, a hugely underrated utility to have on any stealth build. Want to take someone out beyond the range of a camera? Have alerted someone outside your range or behind cover, or simply need to cheese the Shadow Raid camera operator? This thing is awesome for stealth. The practical uses it has are almost impossible to quantify. Just drop it on one of your builds and you'll suddenly start to see stealth in a completely different light. In the secondary slot, this is a little boring, but we do simply use the Judge. This gun is the quintessential stealth tool. Wonderfully concealable, basically impossible to miss with, and carries the added bonus of being able to launch bodies Looney Tunes style. Just use the Judge, there's basically no equal. Of course, we run the Pocket ECM on this one, with the Kknowley for some very niche stealth application, and finally with the equipment, you're going to want to be flexible depending on the heist. ECM jammers are sometimes key to get specific doors open, and you'll want body bags when heading into particularly civ-heavy heists. But remember, don't sleep on the trip mines, they are the real deal once you learn where to start placing them on each heist. As I mentioned, this setup is insanely consistent. You might not be hitting top tier speedrun times, but the fact that you'll never fail a heist will probably counteract those time saves. Any mistake you make can be completely forgotten, as you're seeing here on Murky Station. The Pocket ECM is uniquely good around drones, or when you just know you might need to do a little pager juggling. It also has the added bonus of extending any ECM style rush you might be gunning for by 12 seconds on the way out of a heist. The trip mines are particularly powerful on the widely feared Breaking Feds heist, essentially allowing you to control the entire side of the map where Garrett's office spawns, and even giving you the intel you'll need to take out the 3 standing guards with full knowledge of their relative locations. Oh, and don't forget, whilst this build isn't specifically equipped for going loud, Hacker is so powerful at the moment that you can still clutch out any late stealth breaks or sneak your way out of a heist like Big Oil. Just a top tier build that's really hard to beat. But damn if I'm not gonna try. You see, Pocket ECM is not my favourite way to stealth, believe it or not. No, I've always been a speed demon, meaning Yakuza is my go-to perk deck most of the time, and here's the build I like to run. Starting with the deck choice, Copycat isn't simply the correct answer here, there's actually a little nuance to it. If you're on a heist where Yakuza thrives due to it being bag heavy, but it's also too close quarters to consistently Molotov to low health, say the classic Diamond heist, you might prefer to run standard Yakuza alongside Frenzy for a solid base movement speed buff. In other situations, I'm still going with Copycat, but I did want to point out Yakuza's one remaining reason to exist. For my regular setup though, we go for Heavy Irezumi Copycat with the 4 stealth options once again. From there, the build will look quite similar, but I start by only picking up Force Friendship and Confident in Mastermind, Resilience and Transporter in Enforcer, alongside Scavenger to grab Portable Saw. On a more fast and loose setup like this one, I'm more than happy to make use of the Silent Saw tech whenever possible. If you're not sure what that is exactly, essentially when you fire the Silent Motor Saw into thin air, it will only activate a small alert radius compared to when it hits something physical, and due to how guards update their detection, if you quickly use it to open whatever's blocking your way, it will maintain its short alert radius for a couple of seconds, incredibly useful on a heist like Election Day. In Technician, we go the same way to ace out Jack of all trades, and then just ace out Drill Sergeant this time. There's no point committing into trip mines when focusing purely on speed. Steady Grip takes a spare point before we again, rather boringly, ace out all of Shinobi, basic the 3 core Artful Dodger skills, and ace both Optical Illusions and High Value Target for all the same reasons I discussed earlier. Finally though, we do actually head into Fugitive to pick up basic Martial Arts, ace Pumping Iron and Berserker, and basic Frenzy. Why are we picking up damage and defense skills in a stealth build? Well, the reasons are twofold. First, Berserker works nicely with the Saw to speed up its activation time as it scales off damage. Second, Frenzy gives us the perfect starting health to set up an almost optimal Yakuza activation when combined with a Molotov. Simply stand in the fire until it ticks you down to within 1 shot of dying, reset your armor, and then run back in for 2 final ticks to leave you at that 99% Yakuza range. In terms of the weapons, I've kept things identical for the most part, just remember to bring the Saw along whenever you get the opportunity. You'll still be at a comfortable 14 detection risk with it equipped, and it can really make a noticeable difference on certain heists. In the throwable slot, it's the all-important Molotov. You want to vary between body bags or ECMs in your primary and secondary equipment slots, depending on the heist, and again, I go for the kunai. Whilst this build isn't quite as comfortable for newer players, I'd actually argue that you can get away with more daring plays due to its insane speed. Once you have optimized Payday stealth movement down, you'll be crouch jumping all over the map and setting PBs on every stealthable heist. Although if the idea of a speedrun style isn't to your liking, hear me out on this build for particularly bag heavy heists, it's still a godsend. With the Copycat boost, you can crouch with loot faster than some builds can sprint. If that's not incentive enough to give it a go, I don't know what is. It's this very build that spawned my love for speedrunning in Payday and completely transformed my approach to stealth, leading to a great stealth renaissance for me this late into Payday 2's life. That's it for the 2 core builds. Of course you can like to create more of a hybrid stealth-style build, in which case I'd absolutely go for a hacker template, but my attitude has always been to not prepare to fail. If I'm stealthing, I plan to clear the heist via plan A, no matter what. Finally, I should really touch on Burglar, Payday's 3rd stealth deck. I must admit, I'm a Burglar hater. I just don't think it competes with Hacker's utility or Yakuza's raw speed, but if you like the small interaction buffs to backing bodies, lockpicking or answering pages, don't let me discourage you from using it. The pager speed is probably the best part of the deck, especially now that Copycat does the crouch movement speed stuff so much better than it can. Just keep in mind that almost everything Burglar can do, other decks can emulate, and then some. That's it for today's video. Be sure to check out the channel's continued sponsor, Apex Gaming PCs, for a spec'd out Payday playing monster before Payday 3 launches. Thanks for watching, I hope this helps on your stealth endeavours, and I'll see you all very soon. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.